Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much again for joining me here. Hope you're having a great day regardless of how terrible the market is. Bitcoin's down only 2.5%, 2.25%, and majority of altcoins down 5 to 15%. It's a pretty bad situation right now. So don't recommend any longs for the moment until the bottom is officially in. So what we're going to do today is, instead of just kind of looking at all the standard stuff that should give us an inclination as to when the price might turn around or what direction we're heading. We know we're going down. It makes a lot more sense to kind of reevaluate just some macro behaviors, such as supports and resistances, as well as liquidation levels. Because we were talking with our community earlier, and it seems like low 93,000 might be that pivot point for us, or even as low as 91, 91.5. Because those are two areas, first of all, with liquidation, but also with some other data too. Okay, so in other words, previous supports, triple bottom, a lot of stuff we want to kind of look at. So let's take a quick peek at that here. And before we do, just want to say thanks again so much for being an amazing part of my life. I know I don't always get this right here, but it's nice to be in this journey with you together. And, just kind of just having great people in my life is just something that goes without saying, or I value highly. So thanks again for just being really awesome. You know who you are. And if you want to continue to be awesome, or more importantly, I don't know if you're awesome, but if you are, feel free to show it, comment below, whatever the case. At the very least, hit the like button. So what we want to do here, last 7 days, is kind of look at liquidation. We're going to jump into a few different time frames here. We can see with this most recent candle wick down to 93.2, 93.1, that we're seeing about 93,000 as that lower shelf of liquidation. Okay. Basically, these are just late longs here from before. They took longs right at the 96K range, and you can see that they have quite a large chunk of liquidation there. Basically, what this is too, these are either stop losses or liquidation events that occur. They're forced closes, right? So when we take a look at previous, this candle goes all the way out, or this bar rather, goes out to about 96,000. So it basically means that anybody who is taking along at 96K, they're likely subject to getting swept here soon. So just keep that in mind. They could add to their margin, they could close their trade early. There's a lot of things that can change, but the general consensus here is that we should see 93,000, which we're pretty much already there, right? We're at 93.2 on our way down. Just Bitcoin hitting the old toilet flush button there, So anyways, that's kind of where we're at there from a macro perspective too. This is where things get kind of dicey. We can see 91,000 and 90K as that close approximate, just say the top shelf there, 91.5. There's a lot of liquidation there. Like there's 50 to 100 billion if you kind of add it all up between 90 and 91,000. That's pretty insane. So 90 to 91.5 more specifically is that area. If we do take a look here at local, last 12 hours, this might tell us a different story. I'm guessing that majority of that has been swept, just based on the simple fact that we're moving down pretty fast. And we can see here that, anyone taking longs in the last 12 hours, pretty much said and done, minus the 92.3 range there. So what does all this do for us? It helps us understand areas of interest for market makers. So I think our short-term move will probably be the low 93K range. We may pivot here shortly. And then I would say that after maybe a dead cat bounce of some sort, or just straight sideways action, we should very well see this 91K range retested. That makes the most sense as far as just a very, very large amount of liquidation. As you can see here, you don't short in, or you don't take a long into this, right? We see liquidation delta is getting really high for shorts. It's now at about 12 billion. We haven't seen that in quite a while. In fact, 12 billion is usually the baseline for kind of a massive overextension. While we've seen 20 and 30 in some cases on like the bull runs to the upside, this here, 12 billion, leads me to believe that we're getting closer to our tentative bottom. Again, easier said than done, of course, but that's just kind of what the data is telling us here based on me looking at this every day for the last few years. These are just kind of common occurrences, if you will. We take a look here, open interest, everyone's is absolutely destroyed. Imagine being long at 102,000. Eesh, ouch. So again, don't necessarily along the top. That's why we waited for 100,000 to be retested. Well, while it blasted straight through 100,000 and we missed our opportunity to take a long, thankfully, right? There's no reason to have jumped in or FOMO'd in, right? So again, hindsight's 20/20, of course. Who am I to talk? I mean, we had to close a couple of altcoin longs here last night and this morning, in fact, because the market just continues to run, doesn't want to stop at all, okay? So unfortunately, that's how that works sometimes when Bitcoin dominance starts to increase, as we see here. And of course, Bitcoin continues pulling back. So basically what this means is money's flowing away from Bitcoin, either going into stablecoins or Bitcoin. Sorry, money's flowing away from altcoins, going into stablecoins or Bitcoin, and that's why Bitcoin dominance is increasing just by default. So even though people are selling Bitcoin, they're selling more altcoins right now. That's why that's going up. Okay, so let's take a quick look, see if there's, I don't see any gaps here. Nothing created there in the last few minutes or hours, which is okay. Let's take a quick look here at the macro, kind of look at the daily time frame, work our way down, and just recognize too that we're coming up on a potential double, triple bottom. Depends on how you draw it out, but then we've seen 1, 2. That's kind of unofficial because that was a really aggressive candle wick. But there's 1, 2, 3, 4, pretty much 5 attempts to break this 91.5 range, or we've seen at the very least 92,000 tested roughly about 4 or 5 times. So what does that mean for us? It means it's a support, but again, the more often you test something, the more likely it is to break. So just be mindful that we could very well see the price run pretty fast after that. Worst case scenario, in my thoughts here is roughly 87,000 with the secondary, just based on local highs here. We had about 3 or 4 days basically where the price was unwilling to go below 87K and hasn't been retested yet. Typically, you have to retest that level once before it breaks down below it. So my anticipation, if we lose 90, 91K, 87,000 is a close approximate for that secondary support. Okay, so we kind of established that. We can quickly look at some other stuff here, but it's not going to be anything bullish about this here, folks. We were under 50 on the RSI. All the moving averages. In fact, let's double check this here. Minus the 100-day SMA. The important ones, the 20 and the 2 and the 50, are both above the price action. So we didn't get that pivot or that bounce off that tentative support at 95.5. That was a local high. Should have worked as a new low, but market makers, again, they have a different agenda. There's a lot of dumping going on. People just selling like crazy, and until that stops, you don't want to buy, unless of course you are adding to your spot bag. I still have limit orders in the 92 to 87K range here, so I'm actually okay with this price action. And of course, with other altcoins too, I have some limit orders as well. But once more, for the most part, not really advantageous to consider a long. We can kind of skim through some of this other stuff here, but really, as we're underneath all moving averages here, we're getting closer to 30 on the RSI. This is a common bouncing point, so keep in mind this is a last-ditch, I wouldn't say last-ditch effort, but our last line of support here is this level 30 on the RSI. And what that basically just means, if you look at TD sequential, we can see we've ran for 36, now 40 hours to the downside without correction. Okay, so we're reaching an exhaustive state. The truth is we should see some recovery here soon, especially now that this lower liquidation range has been swept on, again, the last 7 days. So the last week's worth of trading, we kind of take all that into consideration. We have pretty much, it's all been erased, if you will. Same thing with altcoins too. We'll get to that later. But for right now, you can see every last little bit of liquidation is swept now. I would not be surprised if we see a bit of a relief rally here from 93 to the next key level resistance, which should be roughly 95.5. So bear this in mind. The price does end up rallying back. 95.5 seems like a sensible place to short. Okay, just kind of throwing it out there. Last but not least, Ichimoku Cloud hourly time frame. There's really no, there's nothing good here. Okay, and I'm again referring to long position potential. There's nothing there. So what I'll do is I'll update our fib levels here. I'll post our playout chart on our Twitter, Telegram, and Discord. Give you perspective on what I feel may happen next. But again, these areas of support are no longer, and we're going to have to treat them like resistance. So if we do see the price recover from here, which is likely from a very short-term recovery, I would say 95.5 seems like a sensible place for the price action to retest. Other than that, I would say stay safe, don't trade. The best trade is no trade right now, and that's just kind of the way that it goes. Don't force anything, especially don't force any longs. I mean, you're going to find much more success shorting the market. I've been saying that for a couple of days now, but on the same accord, we never got that relief rally, that recovery. I was really hoping for 97, 98K to short of that range. Price just kept dropping. So if you're a part of our community and you're wondering why I'm not sending any shorts, it's because I was waiting for that relief, that recovery, which should have happened, but it didn't. And now we're here waiting for basically the bottom to get in so we can potentially take a long, but we're a little ways away from that, okay? All right, cool. I hope I didn't speak in circles and I was sensible with what I said here. I hope you have a great rest of the day. Thanks again so much for joining me here. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Take care.